you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
This is Voss here from the Chris Voss Show. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are ladies things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you as least. And not as harsh as the rest of the world because we love you. We love our audience. They do such a wonderful job of listening and learning and growing. And I hope that's what people are doing because there's so many great stories and journeys and wonderful lessons we bring on the Chris Voss Show. Refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Goodreads.com/Chris Voss. LinkedIn.com, YouTube.com/Chris Voss on both those, and Facebook.com/Chris Voss. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today, amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book called Death Valley by Kim Brian Snyder. We're going to get into it with him and find out some of his insights and some of the cool stuff that's in his time travel fiction, science fiction adventures book. Welcome to the show. How are you, Kim?
I'm well. Thank you, Chris. How are you?
Thank you. And thanks, your honest, for tuning in. Give us .coms, websites, emails, wherever you want people to find you on the interwebs.
You can reach me by sending me an email at mix@gmail.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your new book?
My book is ultimately about time travel, which is, in and of itself a chore to write. It's something that I've always wanted to write because I enjoy time travel. It's a mix of historical figures, adventure, I sprinkle in a little bit of romance. Mm-hmm. It all comes together in something I would call an airplane book, something you would want to read for an hour, 5 hours on an airplane.
Oh, 5 hours on an airplane. I know people love beach reads and they love different short, not too short, but, they love easy reads and gripping reads and they like to be able to, some people, they binge everything nowadays. It's kind of funny. Kim, who's the protagonist in the book? Tell us a little bit about your characters.
Mick Johnson is a journalist with the Seattle Times. And he is on his way to Las Vegas to cover the World Series of Poker when the book opens up.
The World Series of Poker. Are you a poker player?
I am. I play often.
Oh, do you?
I've entered the World Series twice.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that World Series we have in Vegas is insane. It's crazy, all the people that come out for it and stuff. Yeah,
almost 10,000 people. Almost 10,000 people enter the mainstream.
Yeah, and usually does good for Vegas, for a town that nickels and dimes everybody these days. It's crazy. Tell us about the setup on this book. Where did you get the story impetus from? And what was there an aha moment that made you go, I'm going to write this down? Is this your first book? There's a couple of questions there. Yeah,
it's been an interesting journey. My family went to Death Valley often. It was just something, a bug that got into us as a family. We always enjoyed spending time at Death Valley. So I have a lot of background in the locale, and that led to me deciding to write the book. I wanted to write a book that I would enjoy, that I would pick up and read for myself.
Now, what made you think you could write a book? Because we have a lot of aspiring writers on the show, and they're always trying to learn, how to write books or how to write their next book. What are some ways that you used to build it out and knew that you could get this pulled off? Because everyone's ever been a first-time author at one point.
First of all, I know that I knew the subject matter well, and that helps. I often say the story kind of writes itself, and that's true. That's basically it. I knew that I could write it because I knew the story so well, kind of in my head.
So a lot of your life experience is poured into the story, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
They always say, you write what you know. So, right? Yeah. And so as we get into some of the other parts of it, what sort of crises do you get into with the characters, and maybe some things you can tease out to us? A lot of stuff we can't cover because people need to buy the book to read it. We can't give it all away.
So I'm not following your question.
What are some of the, do you have some scenarios that he gets into? What is it? What are some of the, how did you fit time travel into the book?
Yeah. Time travel is kind of an important part of the book. How to say it? It's something that there's a character that comes from the future back to his past, our present. Mm-hmm. And this illustrates my stumbling over here illustrates the problem with time travel. It's a inherently ridiculous concept. Yet we assume it as reality if we're going to write a book involving a story. But the essence of the book is difficult to capture because it's so absurd, the concept.
Yeah. But you wanted to write about it, and I imagine the time travel gives you a lot of leeway, right? Because you can go beyond facts and reality. You can kind of make up whatever you want. I mean, that's the great thing about writing in a book of this sort of type. Well, how did you study time travel? Did you go deep into it, or did you just go, I'm just going to write about time travel and that's about it?
No, I spend a lot of time thinking about it. It is something that is difficult to capture and great when it finally comes together. There's a lot of moving parts that fit into the story that you got to keep track of when you're doing time travel.
What were some of the issues that you ran into with time travel? Is just the fakery of it, or just the absurdity of it?
That's partly that. I'm just trying to blank.
What were some of the? Give us something else that's top of mind. What are some of the aspects? What do you hope people come away with when they read the book?
I hope they come away with the fact that they read something they really enjoyed. That I had a time traveler in the story, and he has to convince the main character that he's got to go back in time to fix a historical fact, which is the bad guy, if you will, is a third generation of the family that goes by the surname of Black. And so he's got to go back and stop his grandfather from getting the book, I'm sorry, I drew the blank again.
So what do you hope people come away with? What do you hope they gain when they buy the book and read it?
I hope they gain a appreciation of relationships. A couple of characters in the book are Wyatt Earp and Tom Mix, two famous individuals. And the ability of those two guys, plus the Death Valley Scotty, another historical figure, of relating to each other on one might say a superficial level, but really it's on a acceptance level. That if you're my friend, then I must be your friend, and it's a simplicity of relationships in a way.
So relationships are an important aspect in the book. Now, is it set in a certain time period? You mentioned some folks from the 1800s.
Yeah, it's 1925 is when it's set. It's a time that Wyatt Earp is still alive, and Death Valley Scotty is there. And it's interesting that you can get caught up in the mechanics of Death Valley, of mechanics of time travel. But it's fun. It's fun to play with.
Yeah, definitely fun to play with. So what sort of, how do you usually write? What is your writing pattern that you take and utilize to write books? And is there a future one coming out?
Yeah, I'm working on my second one now. It's called El Moro. And it's that name is the name of a national park monument in New Mexico. And whereas the first book is about time travel, the second book is about eternal life, Fountain of Youth. And I'm looking forward to that story. I find that stories kind of tell themselves, and sometimes it's hard to predict where your story will wind up, but in the end, it's a fun experience.
A fun experience. You gotta love it. Those are fun to have in a book, and that's usually what people are looking for. Now, why did you title it Death Valley? What is the title about, and how does the landscape make it feel? How does it set the stage for your story?
Death Valley is Death Valley is a place. But it's also a feeling. It's a valley that when you descend into Death Valley, you lose all sense of reality. It's a really bizarre place. And I enjoy that, experiencing that, having gone there many times as a child. And
what was the, tell us about some of the experiences you had with Death Valley, because clearly they inspired the story. What were some of the childhood things that made you go, I want to write about this and base a story around this?
Death Valley is not just a place, it's a mood, it's a feeling. It's a very strange place to experience.
Sounds like my first 10 marriages.
But there's a somber feeling to it that is, the hopes and dreams of the settlers that came through kind of linger there. It's I don't know. It's a cool place to visit.
And tell us about Rose, the park ranger.
Rose is convinced that Rose is a park ranger, and she meets Mick, is the protagonist. She meets Mick, and together they almost get killed in a runaway car on the mountains, which they think is intentional, but they can't prove it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Rose is an ardent opponent of a nuclear waste dump that's being proposed for the valley right next to Death Valley, Eureka Valley. Mm-hmm. And she's an activist to try to stop the development of this nuclear waste dump. And I don't want to give away the story, but
yeah, you don't want to give too much away, but
she is a integral part of the story, and Mick has to help her avoid the bad guy from killing her.
Ah, there's some bad guys in there, huh?
Yeah.
What's the basis for the? I guess Mick is the guy who's moving around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then one of the things you talk about is the book's using objects like a two-headed coin, an old journal, and poker as key scenes of the mystery. Yeah. Can you tease out a little bit about how that developed and why you put those in the story, maybe?
Yeah, the thing you need to know about this story is that it's the mechanics of time travel are that Mick's father inherits. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm just drawing a blank.
Give me an answer give me something that I can deal with. We have a half an hour podcast here, and you're killing me. Give me some more, maybe on how you set up or how you write.
Well, let me tell you how the story creates the plausibility of time travel. The theory, the background is that DNA is mutated. Mick's father's DNA is mutated by his experience of exploring the caves, the mine shafts. And the high intensity of radon poisoning leads to Mick's ability to time travel. Mm. And time travel in itself is interesting. If you think about a pile of rope and this kind of haphazardly piled up, you have all these crossing points where if you were an ant walking along the road, the rope, you'd be crisscrossing with other parts of the same life, only different times. And so that's where the time travel is explained. It's the ability to step from one intersection point to another, and that's it.
And now you're talking about a future book. Is there a timeline on that, or where are we at?
I would like to think I'm going to be done in a year. It's hard to predict, but it's called El Morro, which is a rock face in New Mexico that's been where people have etched their names and kind of almost graffiti-like over the last century. And the ability to find a time fountain of youth is alluring to everybody. And so that's where it's at.
So do you see, now this is going to be a future series, book 2, it's going to have the same characters, or are you going to introduce a new protagonist?
It's going to principally be new characters. There's a kind of sprinkling in a little interaction with the first cast of characters just to connect up the two books. But most of the book is a new set of characters.
Yeah. So pretty interesting there in the book and stuff. What is some of the feedback that you've gotten from people on the book?
The feedback I get has been amazingly gratifying. I have to say, without being too immodest, it really kicks ass. People really enjoyed my book.
The books kick butt, as
That's
it were.
right. That's right.
And what else haven't I asked you about that you think people should know about the book before we go out?
It's got historic figures that make it fun. You know, like Wyatt Earp. People know who Wyatt Earp is by and large, but the Tom Mix is a famous silent movie star.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he really existed in real life, and he was a really Saturday matinee hero. And the third character that interacts with everybody is Death Valley Scotty. He's a character. He's a swindler, a con artist, but lovable guy. And he lives in the same period of time as well. The three of them are really the basis of the collateral story, the fun read.
Are you going to set it in the same scenario or in a different scenario? You don't have to tell us, so you don't blow the story, but are you going to keep it in Death Valley, Vegas, things of that nature?
No, the name of the book is El Morro, and that's because the locale the story takes place is largely at El Morro, which is a national park, the nearby.
And let's see. Now, you had a major career as a retired tax partner at Deloitte, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
How did some of those things, analytics and background information, affect your fiction writing?
The place I worked was a international accounting firm, Deloitte, and the ability to write and read with a critical aim is first and foremost the criteria of being a good partner at the firm.
Yeah.
It is natural for me to be thinking every character, every word, and being an effective writer.
Being an effective writer, very important as well. Did you know the ending before you started writing it?
It's a good question, Chris. I would say no, I didn't know the ending, but I had the characters kind of heading in the right direction, and then the ability to make those characters do what I want them to do is a challenge. The challenge was fun, though. It was seeing what was going to happen. It was almost like a spectator.
Almost like a spectator. It's interesting how the stories come to us. Do your characters talk to you and tell you how to write their story, or do you have to develop in your own head? Some people have characters that kind of haunt them and bug them to tell their story. It's kind of funny. Yeah,
the characters in my book they're not aware of themselves, but I'm aware of their evolution as the book goes on. Things that I thought were important when I started the book, I don't think are that important when I get about halfway through.
Yeah. What's the craziest Death Valley fact you discovered? Sounded fake, but it was actually real.
Death Valley has the lowest place in the United States, about 200, I can't remember the exact number, but 200 something feet below sea level. Mm-hmm. It also has the record for the hottest place in the world. I think the record was something around 136 degrees.
That's definitely hot.
Yeah, that's warm.
That'll heat you up. That'll get you going in that direction there. Roundabout, give people your final pitch out. How can they learn more about the book and more about you on the show and all that good stuff?
I think, as I say, everybody who reads the book has got positive things to say. It's been gratifying, the reaction I have from friends and neighbors. The book can be ordered from Amazon, and my email address there is Nick Snyder.
Very interesting. It's been wonderful to have you on the show. Any final thoughts before we go out?
Buy the book.
Buy the book. So, Kim, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, and thanks, Arnold, for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold, called Death Valley by Kim Brian Snyder. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Go on.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.